video today, I just wanted to do an introduction. My name is Morgan and I am part of Petals and Paint with my mom, Kathy. You've seen her a lot more on this channel, so I figured I'd introduce myself. We started talking and we decided that it might be beneficial for us to upload a video showing you how I make signs for my mom's wreaths. That way you too can make your own signs. So this video is showing you the how-to steps.
The first step is finding a piece of wood that you want to use and then grabbing a ruler to find the measurements. So here I have this piece of wood that I'm going to use. I'm kind of looking at both sides to see which grain I like better. I take out the ruler. It's about 12 inches long. And let's see, about 5, a little over 5 1/4. I kind of just estimate. The next thing I'm going to do is take my ruler and kind of guess how long I want the decal to be. So like 9 inches by 4 inches is probably what I'll keep in mind for my design. Here I've opened up the Cricut program, and up at the top I'm going to select New Project. This brings you to what we call the canvas. This will be your workspace. You'll see it says canvas up top. I'm going to go down to where it says phrases. I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to type in winter because I'm looking for a winter phrase. I'll scroll down and see which one I like. So here I like the Hello Winter one. Thinking about the sign, the shape, I'm going to add this to my canvas. And here it's added. So you'll be able to see, if I go back to phrases, let me show you something. When you select them, it shows up down here at the bottom. So if you select multiple ones, that's where they show, and then you can just exit out if you don't want them. Sometimes you want to pick multiple. I'm just going to work with this Hello Winter. So over here on the right, you'll see the different layers to this design. If for some reason you didn't want one of the parts of the design, you could just hide it by clicking the eyeball. But I'm going to keep them together. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to stretch it out, really trying to determine the size that I want. Again, thinking of the wood we have. There's a couple ways you can do this. You can just stretch it by the corners, like I showed you before, and that's keeping it proportionate. If you want to unlock that little lock that I just clicked on up at the top, you could stretch it out to whatever size you want. Sometimes I like to do this, but sometimes it looks weird to me, so I just keep it original. But it really just depends on the font and the graphic. If you don't like it, you can always hit the back arrow and go to the original design. So I went back and forth, but I finally decided on 9 inches for the length and about 4.5 inches for the height of it. I'm going to lock it up top. So now I'm going to go up and click Make It. I use this page to see how large the design is going to be, and I can then cut my vinyl to be that same size. And I see that there's a 1 and a 2. That means 2 pages. That reminds me the layers of my graphics are not attached. One's gray and one's still black. So I go down and I click attach. It changes it all to black, and now I know when I go to make it. And now it is all on one page, and I can move it around to make sure it's exactly where my vinyl is on my mat. So here I'm actually keeping the plastic on the mat so I can look at the grid to make sure that my vinyl matches up. I know it needs to be about 8 squares long and 5 squares down. Mine will be pretty close, but I'm going to move it a little to the left to make sure it's just right. I have this extra piece and I want to use it for this sign. So I peel off the clear plastic and then make sure I line this up. And you will see I have a little bit room on the left. It's because I want it a little bit extra over near the 8. And just rub it on. So now we're going to go back over to the computer to hit Make It. And here you'll see the screen we saw before that we used to see really what the grid looks like to make sure it matches where our vinyl is on our mat. Once we know that's all set, we can go down and hit Continue. And here, in a moment, I'm going to show you what I'm actually doing on my Cricut. This is what the computer is doing. So it's looking for my base material, which is set to iron on. I'm going to turn the knob to vinyl because iron on was my last project. So now you can see it says it's set to vinyl. Again, you'll see this in a minute in the video. I'm then going to load my mat into the Cricut. In the arrows, the up and down arrow will light up. And once the mat is loaded, you hit that button. And then when it gets to the third stage, press and go. On your Cricut, you see that light up. So you click that and it will say preparing. And here it will just be the cutting process of your vinyl. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek of what it looks like on my Cricut when I actually do what we just did. This video is a time lapse, so it will look a little bit quicker in the video. But you'll notice the first thing I do is turn my knob to vinyl, and the arrows are lit up. So I load in my mat, press the arrows, takes it in, and now the C for Cricut is lit up, and I can hit that to start the cutting. And here you'll see the machine is just taking it in and cutting it. And once it's done, the arrows will light up, you hit it, and it spits out your mat. Our next step is to peel the vinyl off of our mat. So go ahead and just pull it off. And then I'm going to take it here and start weeding it. So I'll just show you the beginning part of this and give a few tips and tricks. Definitely try to pull the vinyl, the extra vinyl, away, but keep it folded. You can see how I have it flat. Compared to pulling straight up, that's more likely to pull up some of the cut pieces. But even when you're doing it like me, you can see I'm still having some come up. But if you take your time and you do it slowly, if something starts to pull up that isn't supposed to, just lay it back down. Use your tools, use your fingers to hold it down, and then just start to pull up. So here I'll show you a little bit more, and I'm just going to continue weeding. When it comes to transferring your graphic, I use press and seal. This is a hack I learned online that I've just continued to use. Instead of the Cricut transfer tape, this is a lot cheaper. Now, granted, I will give you a heads up, if you need your design to be super straight, super perfect, you might want something firmer than press and seal. But for me, when I have things that are script or things that just have like a wavy flow to them, it doesn't matter if they go on perfectly straight. That's when I use press and seal. So you cut your piece just a little bit larger than your design and lay it on, and then take a scraper, or don't tell my dad, I have his old BJ's card, and that's what I'll be using in today's video. You can use an old credit card, a gift card that you've used, anything like that. Work from the middle out so you don't have as many air bubbles, and then just press it down. So you see I'm just pushing out all the air bubbles. And once it's ready to go, the next thing we're going to do is flip it over and peel it off. Now we can go ahead and flip it over and start to peel it off, and you'll see again the same thing. Really keep it folded flat as you peel off the back. That's going to help it come off easier. Do it slowly, and if you see any pieces sticking to the backing, you can use your finger or your tools to kind of pull it down just like that. And it can be sticky. This, again, it takes patience. I've learned from making mistakes. So you definitely will get the hang of it as you use the materials more. Oh, and I saw that I didn't weed out the middles. This is a great reminder to make sure that you weed out all the middles, the middle parts of your letters, A's and E's and O's, all of those. Go ahead and carry it over to your sign. I recommend holding the top edges of the press and seal and just lightly put it on the sign, because now we're going to use the ruler. This is how I typically find where I want to put the lettering. I measure it with a ruler. I will have to do another video that shows you some other tips and tricks of finding the center. But honestly, with a lot of mine, I'm just like eyeballing it. what looks good to me. I like things unique. I like them one of a kind. I don't want them exactly all the same. So for me, this works, but maybe this really stresses you out. I try to find the bottoms of all my letters and make sure that they're the same distance from the bottom. I do the same with the sides as you saw earlier. So here I'll just measure those. And then if you don't like it, it's just lightly laid on there so I can move it if I want to. So it's like 2 inches to the W and then about 2 inches from the R. That tells me winter's about in the middle, so I'm going to push from the middle out to get the air bubbles. Another tip, work like your letters. Start with the H, especially with script, and do it all the way like you're writing it so that the air can work its way out. I've had so many air bubbles get caught and had to peel it off and then put it back down. So trying to save you some hassle. Use your finger and go ahead and just almost like you're writing it so that it has a way for the air to get out. I'm just going to keep doing it to the very end. And then once it's done, again, I'm pulling the same direction. I think I've said that. And if it starts to come up, just lay it back down and use your finger just like that. Sometimes we miss a piece, something like that. And pull kind of at a rhythm. So you can see I go up and then down and up. I've learned that from someone. I forget who to give credit to. But it works really well if you kind of just like stagger it. And there you go. Any pieces that are sticking up, you can just go over with your finger. But now you have your sign ready to use for whatever, wreath or just by itself. If you have any questions, definitely comment below and subscribe to our channel because we'll be doing more videos just like this.